And we are good. Okay. So good morning, everybody. So welcome to the call if you're on live, and if you're watching the replay, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending when you're watching. We have Al Ruttan with Dynamic Leadership on today. So yeah, Al is well known in the area with different leadership training. We here at Rise have been involved quite a bit with different courses. We've had Al come in as well to train us as a team in various things. One of the biggest ones that we found very beneficial was the disc training. That was about, I think we're coming up on 2 years, or about a year and a half ago now. I think it was summer of 2018, I want to say.
That was your first summer in the new location, I think, if I
That's
remember
right.
correctly.
Yeah. So yeah, and that was really good, just in terms of just with coaching, right, and getting to know different personality types and helping us both work more effectively together, but also understand our clients. And we've talked about continuing that, and we need to actually act on it now. So get to the next level of the disc stuff there with Al. So, but beyond that, yeah, we've done different individually. We've jumped in on his courses, everything from communication to teamwork to leadership, lots of different stuff there. So yeah, I'm going to turn it over to Al to take us through his teaching today. I think it's about 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, 20 to 30 minutes.
Okay. 20 to 30.
Short and sweet on. We're going to talk about attitude today, awesome. Which, yeah, it was kind of ironic. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's okay. Yeah, so I was going to say, I'll turn it over here to you, give you the screen. And then, yeah, if anybody has any questions, I guess feel free to let us know, but there'll be some time for questions at the end as well, I assume.
Absolutely.
Awesome. It's all yours.
And I just want, I'd like it to be interactive. So if you do have a question, give a wave to me or unmute yourself and just say, hey, Al, I got a question for you. And it's actually kind of ironic that I want to be fully transparent with you. I'm preparing yesterday for this. And if you ask my wife, I probably didn't have a good attitude yesterday. So I just want everybody to have, permission. You have permission to not always have a great attitude. Okay. I know it's challenging times, and anything I talk about today, I don't want it to minimize what we're going through as a world right now. Okay. But I do want to say that we do have control over our attitude. And I actually got an email this morning. I subscribed to the Napoleon Hill Foundation, and it was good timing. And it actually said the title word was opportunity. That is one of the tricks of it says that is one of the tricks of opportunity. It has a sly habit of slipping in the back door and often comes disguised in the form of misfortune or temporary defeat. Perhaps this is why so many fail to recognize opportunity. So again, our attitude is going to determine our success in life. There's that old saying, attitude determines our altitude. So first of all, again, thank you for having me here this morning, Curtis. I hope over the next 30 minutes that I can bring you a little bit of value as we talk about attitude today. And but first, before we get going, I want you to do me a favor. If you have a pen and paper handy, I want you to take out a piece of paper and write down, you may not know why yet, but write down one reason why you are here. Why did you decide on Saturday morning to be up and in front of your computer with all of us at 9:30 on a Saturday morning? What's one reason why you're here? You don't need to tell me. I just want you to write it down for your own personal reference later. Everybody have that written down? Okay, the second thing I want you to think into and write down at least one thing that you're working towards in life. What is a goal, a desire, or a dream that you would like to accomplish? And I'm not talking about a huge lifelong 5 to 10 year growth plan. I just want you to think of one thing that you would like to see happen. So I'm going to give you just a minute to write that. Can everybody see the PowerPoint slide there? Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to do full screen so I can still see you guys. I'm just going to flip through them as I need them. So you guys can all see that okay? Am I getting a nod? Yeah, okay, good, good. So everybody's got something written down on your piece of paper? Yes? Raise your hand for a yes, a nod. Okay, great. We're going to move on then, okay? So now what I'm going to do today is hopefully share with you some thoughts and ideas based around attitude that might help you move one step closer to that goal, dream, or desire that you have, okay? The material I'm going to use actually comes from directly from John Maxwell's Real Success Collection. So this is the book. It's a big beast of a book, but there's actually 8 books in this book. And one lucky person here today is going to win a copy. Curtis is going to decide who at the end. So maybe it'll be the most interactive or the person with the best goal. And Curtis and Carrie aren't eligible. So that leaves 3 possible participants as the winner. So good luck. I have some copies right there for you. So we'll get one to Curtis and get one into your hands. Okay. So in Real Success, it's based around these 4 main themes that you can see on your screen here. We have relationships. The R stands for relationships. The E stands for equipping. The A stands for attitude, and the L stands for leadership. And being that we only want to take about 20 minutes of your time today, we're going to just focus on attitude. And we're going to show you how your attitude will personally impact you and your goals. So let's get started here. So the first thing we have to understand is, what is attitude? And how do you put maybe a finger on attitude? If we actually go to the dictionary and look for a definition of attitude, it's an inward feeling that is expressed through someone's behavior. We can feel other people's attitudes based on the energy they're releasing and displaying. And when I say, what I'm saying here is that attitude can be seen without a word being said. Right? You're walked in a room, or had somebody walk up to you and you just know, uh-oh, this is not going to be a pleasant conversation. This person is not in a good mood, right? They're showing it in their body language, their facial expressions, right? We can feel other people's attitudes. We can walk into a room and feel if the room has a negative or a positive state of energy in it by the way, people are expressing themselves in the room. We've probably all noticed someone in a bad mood before even having a conversation with that person. And the same can be said for someone in a good mood, right? What we feel inside will be shown on the outside, always has, and is always going to be. Now, sometimes our attitude can be masked outwardly, and we can fool others for the short term, but that's going to take a whole lot of conscious and mental effort, and those cover-ups never really last very long. Like, we can fake it a little bit, but it doesn't last very long. If we look, James Allen, who is a psychologist, a philosopher, and an author, and he's written a book, a couple books, he stated, "A person cannot travel within and stand still without." What he's saying here is that what happens within us always will affect what is happening outside of us. And again, everything I'm talking about here today is not to diminish what is going on in our world today, okay? I know that some people, this is going to affect others differently. I'm just saying that if we can at all possible, we want to be able to control our attitude and bring about that positive attitude. Okay, so if we have a hardened attitude on the inside, it's going to cause us to close our minds and create a dark outlook. If we have a positive attitude, one that is conducive for our success, we will have a mind that will create the actions needed on the outside to succeed. And we all took a moment at the beginning, write down a goal, something we're working for. We want to create the actions to help us succeed in that. So let me ask you this: what word best describes what will determine our happiness? Is it maybe our job? Is it maybe our education? Is it money? Or is it really our attitude? Our attitude is the primary force that will determine whether we succeed or fail. It's such an important area of our lives, but often more than not, it's a second thought. Someone with a positive attitude will most likely climb to new heights, and someone with a negative perspective will often fall into a deep valley, unable to see through the darkness long enough to climb out of the hole they've gotten themselves into. The very fact that attitude makes some while it breaks some is significant enough for us to explore its importance. So let's work 7 things really quick about our attitude to help us get a better understanding of how it impacts a person's life. So number one, our attitude is a choice. The first and most important discovery that we have to make is the understanding that our attitude is a choice. The attitudes that you have right now at this particular moment are personally chosen. You're either going, I'm going to have a good attitude, I'm going to learn something this morning, or why did I bother signing in? Right? So we have our choice, right? So I do run into people all the time that don't necessarily buy into that. They believe that the attitude they have is because the job they don't like, or the place they live, or the car they have to drive. They blame their attitude on someone or something else. But you have to realize that the only person that can make you happy is you. Happiness is not out there. It's not something that you have to reach or gain something to get it. It's within yourself. Your attitude is a choice. And the first key to success is to choose an attitude that is conducive for your success, and then not allow others to control or create a different attitude for you. Are we going to allow someone else's negative attitude affect our positive attitude? Number two, the second thing we discover about attitude is our attitudes determine our approach to life. This is just a fact. Our attitude sets up how we will approach our life each and every day, and it will set up how others approach us. So I'm curious, can you picture somebody right now that you know that has a bad attitude? Yes, raise your hands. Or no. Yeah, we all know somebody. It's probably that family member that we don't invite to family gatherings, right? We have somebody that we can picture with a bad attitude. Now, when you see this person, if you saw this person at the grocery store, what would you do? Would you like run and duck? Would you maybe jump into the next aisle, or maybe you just leave the store, get into your car, and get the heck out of there? Now we have to ask the question, what do others do when they see us? Again, our attitude at any given time will determine what will happen to us. It really is like an airplane. If our nose is pointed up, we're taking off. If it's pointed down, we may just be headed for a crash. We need to understand that we are individually responsible for our view in life. It would be impossible to estimate the number of jobs lost, or the number of promotions missed, or the number of marriages ruined because of poor attitudes. I bet that all of us see people who hold jobs that they hate, or are in marriages that are tolerated but unhappy on a daily basis, all because people are waiting for someone else to change, someone else to take responsible for their behavior. But we need to take responsibility for our behavior and our attitude. Number three, the third thing we discover about our attitude is our attitudes determine our relationships with people. Everything in your life is impacted by your relationships with people, yet establishing relationships is difficult. You have to understand that you cannot be consistently successful without the help of other people. We all are where we are today because someone in the past has helped us get here, right? It could have been a word of encouragement. It could have been a financial seed sown. It could have, whatever. We're here because someone else helped us to get here. And that's why it's essential for us to build proper relationships with others in this very crowded world. If we look back at Harvard Business School did a study, and if you've done DISC training with me, then you may have heard this in the past, but they did a study about why people get a job, keep a job, and move forward in a job. And they study this over all industries. So it doesn't matter who you are and what job you're working at. It said 15% only was the reason why you got a job, kept a job, moved head to job, was based on your technical skills and abilities. 85% of the reason you got a job, kept a job, moved ahead in a job was because of your people skills, your ability to get along with others. So our attitude is crucially important for our success in life. Teddy Roosevelt said the most important single ingredient to the formula of success is knowing how to get along with people. Excuse me. And John D. Rockefeller said, I will pay more for the ability to deal with people than any other ability under the sun. And these were very successful people, and they realized that attitude was important. When the attitude we possess places others first and we see people as important, then our perspective will reflect their viewpoint, not ours. And until we walk in another person's shoes and see life through another's eyes, we will be like the man who angrily jumped out of his car after a collision with another vehicle and says, "Why don't you people watch where you're going? You're the fourth car I've hit today." Our attitude determines our relationships with people. And you have to figure out a way to deal with people in a way that is conducive for your success. Number 4, often our attitude is the only difference between success and failure. History's greatest achievements have been made by men who excelled only slightly over the masses of others in their fields. This could be called the principle of the slight edge, but many times that slight difference was their attitude. Former Prime Minister of Israel, Golda Meir, highlighted this truth in one of her interviews when she said, "All my country has is spirit. We don't have petroleum dollars. We don't have mines of great wealth in the ground. We don't have support of worldwide public opinion that looks favorable on us. All Israel has is the spirit of its people. And if our people lose their spirit, even the United States of America cannot save us." Now, certainly aptitude, the ability to do something is important to our success in life, but it is not everything. Success or failure in any undertaking is caused more by mental attitude than mere abilities. So who here has kids? Kids? Yeah. Okay. We've got some people with kids in the room. In school, and here's a question. You don't have to actually physically answer it here, but if you want to, again, in school, would you rather have your children tested for aptitude, their IQ, or would you rather have them tested for their attitude? What I want you to understand is that someone might have a high IQ, but they don't have a high AQ or an attitude quotient. More likely than not, they will not be able to create and maintain success in the long run. The president of Yale University, and the quotes on the screen here, president of Yale University once stated, "Always be kind to your A and B students. Someday one of them will return to your campus as a good professor. Always be kind to your C students. Someday one of them will return and build a $2 million science laboratory." So if you really look at and reflect on people, you will see that there is very little difference in people themselves, but the difference makes a big difference. But the little difference makes a big difference. And that little difference is attitude. And the big difference is whether it's positive or negative. Number 5, our attitude at the beginning of a task will affect its outcome more than anything else. Who here has ever played organized sports of any kind? Right? So what was the message the coach tried to get into the player's mind before a big game? Was it one to build them up and positive and have belief in themselves that they could have success, or did their talk cause you to question your ability to succeed? Coaches understand the same thing in the gym atmosphere, right? Carrie and Curtis and Steven and the other coaches are going to encourage you and push you and uplift you and tell you you can do something, even when you internally feel that you may not be able to. And that extra push gives you that little extra desire you need and the mindset you need to lift a little bit more, to row a little bit farther. Surgeons want to see their patients mentally prepared before going into surgery. Job seekers know that their prospective employer is looking for more than just skills when they apply for work. Public speakers want a conducive atmosphere before they communicate to their audiences. Why do you think if you go to any of these big speaking events, there's loud music and people cheering and speakers run out on stage with lots of energy and jumping around? Because they want you excited about what's to come. Why do we do this? Because the right attitude at the beginning ensures success at the end. I bet you're all acquainted with the saying, all's well that ends well, right? But it's equally true to say that all's well that begins well. Do you know that most projects fail or succeed before they even begin? Let me share a couple of stories help highlight or emphasize this point. The first one is about a mountain climber and his guide. The young mountain climber and an experienced guide were ascending a high peak in the Sierras. Early one morning, the young climber suddenly awakened to a tremendous cracking sound. He was convinced the end of the world had come. The guide responded, "It's not the end of the world, just the dawning of a new day." The sound the young inexperienced climber heard was ice cracking. And the sun was rising. It was heating the ice and causing it to crack. The young climber instantly created an attitude or a viewpoint that was not going to be conducive for his success. And I think all of us, right, if we're going to be honest, all of us at times have been guilty of viewing our current or future challenges as setbacks versus potential opportunities. Coronavirus, it's a setback, right? But what opportunity is it going to bring through it on the other end? So here's another story about two different shoe salesmen. Two shoe salesmen were sent to an island to sell shoes. The first salesman upon arrival was shocked to realize no one was wearing shoes. Immediately, he sent a telegram to his home office in Chicago saying, "We'll return home tomorrow. No one wears shoes." The second salesman was thrilled by the same realization. Immediately, he wired the home office in Chicago saying, "Please send me 10,000 shoes. Everyone here needs them." Our attitude at the beginning of a task will affect the outcome more than anything else. The goal to success is creating an attitude that is conducive for success in the beginning, going in with the right mindset. Number 6, our attitude can turn our problems into blessings. This is another fact. Our attitude can turn our difficult times into better times if we choose the right attitude. In Awake My Heart, Sidlow Baxter wrote, "What is the difference between an obstacle and an opportunity? Our attitude towards it. Every opportunity has a difficulty, and every difficulty has an opportunity." When confronted with a difficult situation, a person with an outstanding attitude makes the best of the situation, even though he may be getting the worst of the situation. If you really think about it, life can be likened to a grindstone. Whether it polishes you or grinds you, it depends on what you're made of. Those who possess a great attitude will prosper under adversity. So let's look at it this way. Haven't we all flown a kite at some point in our lives? Everybody's flown a kite, or at least attempted to. I never had much success flying a kite. What happens when you fly a kite when there's no wind? It's going to rise or fall, right? It's going to fall. Kites need wind to work. So when the wind of criticism blows, I encourage you all to allow it to be what the blast of wind is to a kite, which is a force that lifts you higher. Don't let it drag you down. To highlight this concept even more, let's take a look at the following people that I guarantee you will recognize and see how their success was directly tied to their positive attitude. The first one is Albert Einstein. Despite being known as a true genius in his day, Albert didn't have a great start. As a kid, he didn't start to speak until he was 4 years old, and his elementary school teacher considered him lazy. But he kept on anyway, eventually formulating the theory of relativity, which I still don't understand to this day. Number 2, Benjamin Franklin. One of the US founding fathers had to drop out of school after his 10th birthday because his family couldn't afford his education. That didn't stop him. He went on to teach himself through reading and ended up inventing numerous things such as the bifocal and the lightning rod. Thomas Edison, we've all heard of him, right? Edison may hold the record for the most failed attempts before reaching success on a single project. He failed over 10,000 times before inventing the light bulb that worked. His response? "I've not failed. I just found 10,000 ways it didn't work." The positive and motivational attitude has become inspirational to those trying to achieve something. His example number 4, Michael Jordan. As a kid, Jordan loved basketball and knew he wanted a career out of it. However, no one would give him a chance. He was even cut from his high school varsity basketball team, and he went on to be one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Final example, number 5, Walt Disney. Disney began his career by being fired by a newspaper for not being creative enough. Walt Disney. Later, his Mickey Mouse cartoons were rejected because they were deemed to be too scary for women. If Walt had listened to those skeptics and given up during these challenges, the Disney company, as we know it today, wouldn't exist. So as you can see, these well-known individuals repeatedly faced problems or setbacks, but their consistent positive attitude eventually allowed them to rise above the commonplace. Not only did they find the answers, they also discovered a tremendous power within themselves. Our last point, number 7, our attitude can give us an uncommonly positive perspective. And with this uncommonly positive perspective, it'll help us accomplish some uncommon goals. George Sweeting, former president of Moody, I can't read it apparently, Moody Bible Institute, tells a story about a Scotsman who was an extremely hard worker and expected all the men under him to do the same. His men would tease him saying, "Scotty, don't you know that Rome wasn't built in a day?" And he would answer, "Yes, I know that, but I wasn't the foreman on that job." Individuals whose attitudes cause them to approach life from an entirely positive perspective are not always understood. They are what some would call a no-limit person. In other words, they don't accept the normal limitations of life as most people do. They are unwilling to accept the accepted. Their response to self-limiting conditions will probably be why instead of okay. Certainly they have their limitations. Their gifts are not so plentiful that they cannot fail, but they are determined to walk to the very edge of their potential and the potential of their goals before accepting defeat. They're like the bumblebee, right? We've all heard this before. According to the theory of aerodynamics, as demonstrated through wind tunnel tests, the bumblebee should not be able to fly because of the size, weight, and shape of its body in relationship to its total wingspan. Flying is scientifically impossible. The bumblebee, being ignorant of this scientific theory, goes ahead and flies anyway and makes honey every day. The future not only looks bright when the attitude is right, but the present is also much more enjoyable. The positive person understands that the journey of success is as enjoyable as the destination. So what I want you to do, we're coming in for a landing here. That piece of paper that you wrote some things down on the beginning, right? Pull it back out, right? Wrote down one thing you wanted to work towards. And I want you to take a minute to write down one thought or idea that you pulled out of this session that will help you get a step closer to your goal, dream, or desire. Just take a minute to jot down some notes. And then I want to hear a couple of things from you guys. I want you to share what you wrote down and maybe what one thing you got out of this session. And look at that, we're at 9:59. That was about 20 minutes, wasn't it? I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see you all better.
Thanks for joining us, Al.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's good to see you, my friend.
Yes, for sure.
Yes.
So maybe we'll talk about doing a different one of your different topics down the road here. Get you back on again.
So let me know.
Okay.
We'll come up with
Thanks to
something.
everybody for jumping on as well.
Yeah, thanks for joining, everyone. Have an amazing Saturday. A great attitude.
Did anybody win the book?
Oh.
The accountability, I love it.
Yeah, we'll have to go with. I think we're gonna have to go with Jake on that one. You jumped right in and shared, so I'll get it from Al, and then we'll get it to you.
All right, awesome.
You bet.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Alan.
Awesome. Okay, thanks everybody. Everybody have an awesome weekend.
Take care,
see
all.
ya.
Bye.